A very interesting case there involving Bewley's Cafe in Grafton Street in Dublin. And I've made a video about it before, and the video was about the dispute between the lessee, between Bewley's and the property developer Johnny Ronan and his company, as to who owns the stained glass windows. And the significance of the stained glass windows is that they are Harry Clark stained glass windows and worth apparently something like €1 million. The Supreme Court now has agreed to hear another appeal over the ownership of these stained glass windows. The Court of Appeal had ruled that the stained glass fixtures belonged to the landlord Johnny Ronan's company. There was a 2-1 decision in the Court of Appeal last July that all 6 of the windows belonged to the landlord of the premises, developer Johnny Ronan's company, RGRE Grafton Limited. There was a dissenting judgment, however, found that 2 of the windows were owned by Bewley's, that's the lessee, the leaseholder, and the other 4 were tenants' fixtures. That decision, in turn, that Court of Appeal decision, differed from a 2023 High Court decision that only 4 of the windows belonged to the landlord, while the other 2 were the property of the tenant, Bewley's Cafe, Grafton Street. The 6 windows are said to be worth €1 million. The Bewley's firms then asked the Supreme Court to hear another appeal on grounds that the case gave rise to matters of general public importance. They also referred to the absence of established Irish legal principles regarding the nature of the ownership of a fixed decorative or artistic chattels as a tenant's or landlord's fixture. And this has relevance as well, even in a situation where you might be an apartment owner. The apartment, the lease for the apartment really involves a cube of space owned by the lessee, the person who buys the apartment, whereas the building itself and the walls and probably the windows belong to the landlord or the management company. Johnny Ronan's company, RGRE, opposed the further appeal. It said that there was no matters of general public importance here. It argued that this was a private law matter with no public interest aspect, and it wasn't as if the windows were designated as a national treasure. However, the Supreme Court granted a further appeal. The Supreme Court panel, said it appeared to the court that the issues identified by Bewley's satisfied the constitutional criteria for the grant of leave to bring the appeal. It said that the fact that the Court of Appeal differed from the High Court and that the Court of Appeal itself was sharply divided as to the proper resolution of the issues were indicators of the complexity of the matter. While some of that complexity arises from the evidential uncertainties highlighted in the judgments, it appeared to the Supreme Court panel that the intended appeal also raises significant and complex issues of law relating to fixtures. And this will be an important decision for any lessee, indeed any landlord, as to who owns the fixtures and fittings in a particular premises or which are subject to a particular lease. These issues include the proper treatment of items which are both functional and decorative in nature, which are said to have been annexed to and to form part of the landlord's premises, and the circumstances, if any, in which the tenant is entitled to de-annex and remove such items. And obviously, if stained glass windows were worth €1 million and your business wasn't going great and you're in a coffee game, for example, in Bewley's, I'm not suggesting that that's the case, but if that was the case, €1 million, bring the windows with you, might soften the blow of going out of business if that was to occur. While the items here at issue are indeed unique, and the Supreme Court recognises that the issues involved are of wider significance, and in the opinion of the Supreme Court panel, the intended appeal raises issues of general public importance, and given the significant artistic and commercial value of the works, it's in the interest of justice, according to the Supreme Court, that the issue of their ownership should be finally determined by the Supreme Court. This will be an interesting decision. I've made a video previously about these windows, this dispute, Bewley's, Grafton Street and the Harry Glass stained windows. I'll put a video up there, or a link up there rather, to that previous video about this same dispute. Hope you find the video useful. Thanks a lot.